everyone. This is Cathy Rodriguez, President and CEO for the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm really excited to continue our series this month of introducing you to our new board members. We meet every Thursday at noon, Juntos with Cathy, because I really believe that everything we do together is that much better. So today we are going to be meeting with Jose Suarez, and he is the president and general manager at Telemundo 33, and that oversees Modesto, Fresno, Sacramento, and Utah. And let me just tell you that this man is fun and fabulous, so get ready for a really great conversation. Hello,
Hi,
Jose.
Cathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday Eve.
I know, right? That's what Thursdays have become. Happy Friday Eve.
Exactly. We're almost to the weekend.
Yay, especially on a short week. So, Jose, I'm super excited to have you here today. You are one of our newest board members here at the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I shared a little bit. You are the president and general manager here at Telemundo 33, but you're also a recent transplant here to Sacramento, moving here from Texas. And,
that's right.
You know, a lot of things are going on in Texas right now. And so is your family still out there? I need to ask.
So my family's in Florida, born and raised in
Good.
Miami, but I do have a lot of friends and a lot of my team in San Antonio and around Texas. We also have several stations that we own in Texas. And it's funny, I actually caught up with a lot of the general managers from there today, asking them how they were, just checking on them. And they're doing great, fortunately, and their teams are well. A lot of people still without power, a lot of people without heat, having to huddle in rooms together. But I've been watching some of the coverage of my former team, and they're doing so incredibly well. I'm so proud of each and every one of them, and just really proud of the organization and all the work that they're doing in each of the cities where we do have stations to make sure that our community is as safe as possible and that they're as informed as possible through this terrible storm.
Well, we're glad to hear that because, we've been watching it very closely on this end too. And so we're glad your friends are safe, and we're glad that Telemundo is doing what they need to do to get the message across, of resources and connections that they need. So, I would say that that's a lot of what you probably do, right? As, heading up a news organization.
Yeah, one of the biggest commitments that our station group has made across the country, and the investment that they've made right here in Sacramento, is in breaking news and weather coverage. We have our weather anchor lives in Sacramento, reports live in each of our daily newscasts. And we've made that same commitment across the country, where we have put a lot of resources behind weather and making sure that our community is safe and informed. That's the one thing that affects all of us, right? Whenever you see anybody, I remember you and I had lunch a few weeks ago. The first thing we talked about, the weather, it's chilly today, but it's at least warmer, so we're getting to eat outside. So weather is that big unifier for all of us. We all always talk about the weather. I'm so excited to look out my window right now and see the sun shining. So weather is one of those things that we really have put a big emphasis on. I think especially right now, weather is so important because guess what? Without nice weather, we're not eating outside. And that goes such a long way to supporting our local businesses.
Yes, and that is so key to everything that we do here at the chamber. So I always appreciate that the importance of our small businesses and how everything that happens in the world is affecting them right now.
Everything comes together. It really does. It's amazing. And something so simple as the weather, and how that really now changes how it's our daily lives.
Yes. So Jose, tell me a little bit about, I know that you shared with me that your dream was always to work in television. And, there are many of us that have, big dreams, right? Actually, I'll share one of mine. I used to tell people, I really wanted to host a talk show. This is as close as I'm probably going to get, to it. But the reality is, people have dreams, and some of them come true in different ways. But yours, came up on this journey and brought you here and to where you're at right now. So tell us a little bit about how that happened and how you made this dream a reality.
I would say, well, first of all, I would not be here without my parents, and without the fact that my parents always pushed me to live my truth and live my dream. My dad had, and you've heard me tell the story before, came to the United States in the 60s and he had to get recertified to be an optometrist. And he had to go through that entire process so that he could once again live his dream. I grew up watching that. My mom was always so supportive of him, helping him at the business, helping him. She would organize the eyeglasses. She would decorate the office. She would welcome patients when they would come in. So it was really a family affair. So I was privileged enough to be able to grow up seeing this. When it came time to choose a career, I think everybody automatically thought that I was going to go into optometry. I did one of my first jobs I was a licensed optician in the state of Florida.
Oh.
But the more and more, and I think some of my friends are probably watching this from Miami, but they'll tell you that my Instagram handle, which is Jose TV, was something that I started a long time ago, where I would do silly interviews of people on the street. I would almost shoot like a reality show with my friends, and I would edit that together. And sometimes once a month or something, we would all sit down and we would watch Jose TV. So early on, that was my dream. My cousin, who was a leader at one of the universities in South Florida, was like, "Why are you overthinking this? And why aren't you pursuing a career in television?" I was fortunate enough at a young age to be able to meet one of my journalistic. I'm just such a big fan of this guy, Jose Diaz-Balart, who is now our national news anchor. And I saw how he sort of how he really enjoyed what he did day to day when you would watch him on TV. So I felt very empowered because I was able to see people like myself through him to go after my dreams. And honestly, I always say it, my mom has pushed me beyond the realms of reality when it comes to sticking to it and living my dream. I saw a meme. I love memes. Anyone who knows me will tell you I'm constantly sending people memes. I saw a meme that talked about, you might not realize it, but you're living the dream today that you dreamt when you were a little kid. And when I look at it, it blows my mind to think about the fact that I get to work with such a great company. I always dreamt of working for NBC. I have all sorts of peacocks all over my house. NBC Universal owns Telemundo, and we're all owned by Comcast. And it is such a privilege to be able to be part of this organization and what we do on a daily basis and the mission. My dream has evolved. I think that just like anybody, I think I always had this plan of what was going to happen and how my career was going to play out. I was going to, be on TV until a certain age. And then once I would be in my 50s, I would move over to the management side. But everything changed. At 28, I was a news director. And it's funny, Yvette Miley, who is one of my mentors and the woman who brought me to NBC Universal back in 2005, she one time said to me, she said, at some point, your focus changes and it's going to move away from what you do. And you're going to realize that your focus is going to be what you inspire others to do. And really, I really feel very fortunate in my management role now that that's what I get to do, that I get to work with our leaders, with young journalists to really make their dreams come true and show them how it's really possible.
You know what I love about you, Jose, is how often in our conversations you've talked about your mentors and this idea of inspiring others. I think that a lot of the times, all the work that we all do, we think about, what's that impact? What's that imprint that's going to, leave? And, and how can we elevate others? We all talk about the next generation or anyone that, even watching right now, that someone sees this and says, wow, like he stayed focused and made his dream come true. That's something that I can do. And you talk a little bit more about, that kind of that evolution, you talk about, I have mentors, to get me here. I'm becoming a mentor to others, and why that's so important in like what your life and then just in everything that we do.
I think you have to have, first of all, a really honest and open approach to it. I've been very fortunate that I have had people that have taken the time and taken the interest in my unique skills and ability and helped me focus that so that I could be stronger. My current boss, Manuel Martinez, who may or may not be watching, he was one of those people that I was able to work with early on at my career at NBC Universal. And again, by his example and sometimes by his nudges and sometimes not so gentle nudges, I learned a lot of those lessons. But and I have great stories about people like Manuel, people like David Gonzalez, who was my first news director in Roswell, New Mexico. Yvette Miley, who I mentioned before. I have so many positive role models, but I have to take a minute and I have to say thank you to all of the people that weren't maybe the most ideal role models, because guess what? I also learned a lot of things from them. I learned how not to treat people. I learned how to stay focused, or how to really concentrate on something that I'm doing. So I actually learned a lot from people who maybe might not be the traditional role models, but you do learn a lot from those lessons, because that's the reality. And every failure that I've had along the way has really become an opportunity for me to really evolve. But you have to approach it with an open heart and an open mind, and you have to realize that dreams are, you're living, right? You're a living being,
Yeah.
and you have to be fluid and you have to be willing to evolve with the demands, with the technology, with everything that's going on around you, so that you can be a better person. And you have those angels, right, that come into your life that again nudge you in the direction of your dreams, so that you could be bigger, bolder, and better.
Perfect. I think I'm going to pull something out there that you said that I think is incredibly important, is that as we, look for those mentors and people that help, inspire us, motivate us, challenge us to be better versions of ourselves, it's also important to remember that, yes, there's sometimes along the way, there's this additional people that the lessons learned actually might have more of an impact in evolving you into the type of person you want to be than you realized. So that even that experience can bring something along that's better.
I can trace specific incidents back to where I learned a hard lesson that I was like, I can't believe I'm going through this. And then later on, you see it at that next job. You're like, oh my God, like what, I was able to avoid this because of that pitfall that I had the last time. So that's what it's all about, right? That we take all those lessons. And I really feel that when you look at where I start, I always think of that latest challenge that's like, here's where I started and how things are going. I think this is one of those moments for me where I was so focused on that dream, but I was able to evolve myself, my brand, and to the technology and to really the changing needs of our business. So it's been, again, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to be part of this company. I always saw, I studied, right, when I was in school, I studied where people grew, and it was very interesting to see how NBC Universal grew their on-air talent. And Miami was one of those incubators for a lot of national talent, has actually come through Miami. The Carrie Sanders of the world, Katie Couric, Jose Diaz-Balart, who, now not only is he operating in the Spanish language national newscast every night at 6:30 on our air, but then he also does the weekend nightly news on NBC in English. So to be able to see how our company uses and grows their people was something that I always wanted to be a part of. So I was very strategic in doing my research. And then again, you have to be willing to take feedback. You have to be so open to it, and it's gonna hurt. All the people that have been such positive influences influences on me at some point or another broke me to a certain extent, right? Because I may have messed up or I needed to do something better, but they pushed me and they demanded that, they held me accountable, but I was also willing to bring my part of it as well, which sometimes we're not willing to do so, at least not so quickly. But it always works out in the end. Again, you have to have an open mind, open heart to the feedback.
That's great, Jose. So the other thing you just touched on, which is great, because there's this whole, not this phase, but we're all talking a lot more openly now about, inclusivity and belonging and building that culture in the workplace and what that looks like. And it sounds like, even before these were open conversations, you were looking for that already and found it in the organization that you're at now. So for you, having found that, how do you continue to build that and, continue that as you bring new employees in and, work with their partners, how do you make sure that that's still an important part of the culture that you're in?
You set it as a standard. You tell your story and you set that as the standard. And I think that also, that's one of the benefits that I've had because of my experience working in a newsroom. How does this affect our community? At my first news director job, I had seen a tip from somebody else, and I actually did a little photocopy cutout and I put it on everybody's desk. And it said, as a viewer, why do I care about the story? Who's affected? Who are the people? How are we representing what our community looks like? For me, it's just it's a standard operating procedure. For our company, it's what we do, and I think that we really instill that in our team members moving forward.
That's so great. And so for you now, moving on to the actual news part of what you do, you said a couple of things, it's changed dramatically, right? Like the reality is news has changed almost on a daily basis, how people are getting their news, how you're making sure that, it's breaking news. And, again, but at the core of it, how's the story affecting who's hearing it, because this is what we rely on to make decisions. So what do you see what's good in the development of the way the news has changed, and where do you see it going?
I think the one of the key ways that it's changed, right, is the technology that we use behind it. We used to have to string miles of cable. We used to have these giant antennas, and now a lot of times this is our live truck, this is our satellite truck. We're able to go live and tell stories directly from here. We're able to do interviews from here. Our crews here in Sacramento and the crews at my 3 stations actually will use will use a cell phone. Who doesn't have a ring light now? I have a beautiful light that's giving me light here, but it's a tripod that doubles as a iPhone holder that we use on the field. That's perfectly lit. The iPhone provides a great balance for the microphone levels and things like that. So I think the technology and the way that we're able to tell stories has really evolved because of this. I also think that the way that people are willing to receive the information is different, right? Before, I remember people used to say, oh, who's going to really watch stuff on mobile? Well, when you look at our page views, right, our mobile explodes.
Really?
And I think that's safe to say across the entire station group, mobile is big, especially when people aren't available to watch the big TV that we all have in our homes. But I think that the availability of mobile and how we use it is huge. And you know what? Right now, I would say this to any of the members of the chamber. I would say that the only thing that we're limited by is our creativity and our dreams. That's literally the only thing that's limiting us now, because so much is now possible because of the technology.
That's great. Now, specifically, to, I said, Telemundo has naturally more of a Latino audience, really there. But it's, we all talk about it too. It's a growing audience, a growing economic power. It's actually a very strong economic power. Can you tell us like a little bit, the influence that that has actually over just NBC Universal and decisions that are being made and what that looks like? Are we just talking about it, or do people actually really see the relevance and the influence that we have?
Our company believes in it, or else we wouldn't have bought the station and I wouldn't be here. I mean, they are committed to it at every level in every market that we are in, and that's why we have resources to be able to tell the stories. And one of the really interesting evolutions that I've gone through personally is that I got into the business at first, and I was the journalist, and I was telling stories. And while that's still a very important part of what I inspire my team to do, to tell those stories, now I've also have another hat, which is the revenue side of things, right? So now part of the stories that I get to tell is how can I help businesses in our area tell their stories so that they can engage better with prospective clients and customers. So that's one of those evolutionary tracks. So we're very committed to that safety and protection of our consumer, but then we're also very committed to being able to connect with our advertiser and being able to tell their story as well.
Wonderful. So Jose, believe it or not, because I want to make sure we get a couple of questions in chamber related with you, because our time is running out, which I was very fearful was going to happen because I knew you were the fun and fabulous talker that you are. So we're going to do something, and we haven't announced the recipients yet, but I think it's okay to talk about the overall concept. So our Salud Awards are coming up, and that's our annual celebration of small business and recognition that we have. And Telemundo is actually going to help us do something a little special this year, to recognize the recipients. Do you want to share a little bit what that concept is?
Yeah, we're really excited. So obviously, we've been dealing with the pandemic. I think everybody knows at this point in time, or else we'd probably be sitting in a room together doing this. But as part of that, Cathy and her team really challenged us in our discussion to come up with a different way to be able to present the awards and showcase the winners of the Salute Awards in a different way. And anyone on my team, my news director will tell you, Rafa, who is our creative services manager here in town, will tell you, we love a 30-minute special. And we love putting those together, and absolutely love the idea of being able to present in a documentary style these winners to the community, expose their businesses and their hopes and dreams and what they've done to achieve those, so that they can inspire other people in the community to do the same. So in, I believe, the first weekend of April, my team and I will be working on a 30-minute documentary style special that showcases these winners and tells their story, and also tells the story of all the work that the chamber is doing here in town. So we're very excited about it.
We're so excited about it. Okay, here's what's also going on over here, Jose. So I got to tell you, you have a lot of fans, because over here in our comic section, we have everyone who is basically, chiming in and letting us know that you are fun and fabulous, and letting you know. Eugene Ramirez here says, Jose was my boss more than 10 years ago, which I'm assuming you were 18 then, so it's probably started very early.
Probably, yeah.
Yes. And he says, and I just love this, it was refreshing to see a leader who not only directs the work, but jumps in and does it too. And then did the same when I had the opportunity to lead in the department, and we need more doer leaders. I love that. That's a great way to describe you, a doer leader. How do you feel?
I love getting my hands dirty. As the biggest thing, and I've been able to correspond with some of the people in Texas in covering this. They all know that had I been in Texas, I would have been there was a Hurricane Harvey. I was out in the storm truck with a reporter, making sure that we were covering it live and that we were out there. And it was not my job. I did my job earlier in the day of making sure that everybody was fed, everyone was taken care of at the station. And then I could not wait to get onto the field and help tell the story of what was going on, because that just runs in my blood, right? So sometimes, you can take the reporter off the field, but you can't take the field out of the reporter, I guess. I don't know. So that was always my excitement. And it was always my excitement to really try to understand what those teams go through, so that we can help them tell better stories, and we can help them do what they needed to do the best way possible. Because I think it's also important for everyone to really understand what the other does. And Eugene's a great guy. He's also one of my best friends. That's one of the things. I've lived in so many places that I've really had the benefit of running into some great people. And Migdalia, who is on there, was our news director in Miami when I was creative services director. We had worked in Miami at the same time. I was in a digital role, and she was the vice president of news for Telemundo. And now she's actually our GM in Orlando. And Migdalia was one of those people that really also helped to sharpen me and help me with my approach, working on my strategy, and help sharpen me a lot as well. So sometimes it's not only the people above you that can influence you, but it's also listening and working with your peers, so that you all can sharpen each other, so that you can be better for the team in general.
That's so great, Jose. Yeah, I just wanted to say, because it's just coming this stream live on. It's obviously you've touched so many people, and they're so excited to get to see you. And
well, and they've each touched. I see a lot of names there, and it's really an honor. Adlena was our anchor in San Antonio, and she was wonderful. And Roxy is on here as well, and Dan. A lot of times, one of the key things is when you don't only need people above you to believe in you, but you also need the people that you're working with and people
Yes.
that you're inspiring to believe in you. So if you have people that believe your crazy ideas and that this could actually work and it could actually be good, that's great too, right? And I'm very blessed that I've had great people, and some of them are there today that believed in my ideas as well and then ran with them.
Yes. Well, like I said, you obviously have a good following, so we're excited that you're going to join our team too here at the chamber. There's something else you do. You talked about moving around a lot for your job and the opportunities, but there's something when we had that lunch a few weeks ago that you said that stuck with us here at the team, and you said wherever I go though that becomes home.
It's home. I have moved around a lot in my career. I take that as a blessing. I've lived in some really interesting places. Roswell, New Mexico. I have UFO stories. One of the last stories I covered when I was living in Roswell was an abductee forum, a support group for recent abductees. It was fascinating. But I've lived in some really interesting places: Toledo, Ohio, Miami, Florida, San Antonio, San Angelo, and now Sacramento. When I get here, this is where I live, and I make a home here because I could be here for the rest of my life. So I have bought a home here. I have jury duty actually in a few weeks. So you live somewhere once they call you.
Yes,
Listen,
so you get a notice.
jury duty. You're set. You live here. But this is my community now, and this is my home, and it's very important for me to connect with you all, to connect with business leaders, and figure out how we make our home better, safer, stronger for us, for our children, for everybody in our lives.
So there's something else that connects us too, and that I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up, because there are many reasons that we recruited you and wanted you on our board. I think everyone can see why: your energy, your enthusiasm, the strategy you bring to everything. But then I think it was Rafa who mentioned, oh, the reason he's not here at this production today is because Jennifer Lopez was appearing somewhere, and so he needed to go because he kind of knows her. So
well, I don't really. It's not fair to say that I know her. I've had the honor of meeting her on several occasions, and I'm a very big fan.
Yes.
And I think anybody will tell you that on any given Saturday morning, I will be here in my house. Now that there's no public karaoke, I do karaoke here in my living room. So if anybody would like to come sit at my window and watch me karaoke on a Saturday morning, sometimes I actually put it on Instagram. So
we have to follow that.
I'm not gonna even lie to you. I do put it on Instagram, and I am known to do a J-Lo song or 2 or 3 or 4 in my routine. But listen, talk about somebody who is living their dream and should be an example for all of us on strategy, on approach, on evolution, and reinventing themselves. Jennifer Lopez should be an inspiration to all of us because she has done all of that. She lived her dream of being a dancer, and that dream of being a dancer, very strategically, she was able to move through. She was able to move through into movies. She is very successful in television, scripted and reality with her World of Dance competition that she does. And then, you know what? I love her music. For me, Waiting for Tonight is timeless. But it's timeless. It's great. It's over 20 years old, and it's still a great song. And if she happens to see this, she knows that I love her. I don't care. But she's watching us? She is an example. And look at how she's launched J-Lo Beauty right now, and look at her use of social media. And I think that one of the very exciting things for me to be on the board and to be part of the Hispanic Chamber is to be able to meet our members and be able to show them how something that J-Lo's doing, right, is actually very attainable and possible for them to do to grow their business. And what steps can you take in order to do that? So thank you for bringing it up. First of all, I love to talk about her. But second of all, I mean, literally, she should be a role model for how she has launched and really evolved, and how she continues to change industries.
Well, that I'm in complete agreement with you for all those reasons and more. But she does, it is that part of us too, of saying, these are things that when we see them, how do we apply them to our small businesses? And, there are small steps to, what everyone's done to get success that we can all learn from and see. And I'm in complete agreement. I think that that's someone that when you look at her, she works harder than anyone else to get to where she's at, is a quote that I've heard her say numerous times. And a lot of the success that we see for our small businesses, for yourself, for leaders in our community, is that whole work ethic of saying, you know what, I want that, and I'm going to do everything I can to work towards it. And I am beyond excited, Jose, that you are joining our board to help us
Thank you.
with our mission of making sure that every small business has the resources and connections and the opportunity to really thrive and to get the economic prosperity that they deserve. So thank you so much for joining our board. Thank you for joining Juntos with Cathy today.
I love it. Congratulations on your talk show. I feel like
I know, right? So we do make dreams come true. I
feel like I finally made it to daytime television.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, for everyone today, I hope you enjoyed meeting Jose Suarez. You're going to see a lot more of him here with us here at the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber. Jose, thank you again for joining us. And all of you that came today to Juntos with Cathy, we're here every Thursday at noon, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining us again, and have a great afternoon.